Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the chamber, your chamber, here in the city of University Place. My name is Stan Fleming. I have the privilege of chairing tonight and also serving as your mayor. This is the regular meeting of the University Place City Council for Monday, June 1st, 2026. With that said, would the Deputy City Clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Figueroa.
Present.
Councilmember Boykin.
I'm here.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Here.
Councilmember Wood.
Present.
Councilmember Grossi.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey is excused. Mayor Fleming.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. With that, let's move to item number 3. If Councilmember Grossi, would you please lead us in our pledge?
Yes, please stand with me as we...
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's move to item number 4. It's the approval of the agenda. I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor, I move for approval of our council agenda as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. And hearing no objections, the agenda is approved. Let's move to item number 5, and that's presentations. Our first presentation tonight is going to be the Duck Days Proclamation. And I have to tell you, just to ensure that there's no nepotism that people think of, Martha Fleming, who is the president, her name sounds familiar to mine, right? Is the president of our Rotary Club here in University Place in Fircrest. And her nomination to receive this proclamation came anonymously to the council, so that's how you got nominated. So to present that tonight is Councilmember Grossi, and then following that, we'll have some comments from you. I don't know whether to call you Martha or Mrs. Fleming, but anyhow, we're formal here tonight. So, and then if we could have all the council join for a quick photo there afterwards. Okay. Councilman Grossi, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think Madam President would work too. Would you like to join me for the yes, your whole team?
Come on up, team.
Have a whole crew. Anyone else? Come on, everybody.
Don't be shy.
You have been working hard. I'll read the proclamation for Duck Days, and then maybe you want to all tell the community what you've been working on for the first ever Duck Days treasure hunt that you've done. Great. Whereas Duck Days is a cherished community tradition that brings together residents, families, businesses, and visitors in celebration of community spirit, creativity, and fun. And whereas Duck Days provides opportunities for residents of all ages to participate in festive activities that foster civic pride, strengthen neighborhood connections, and enhance quality of life within the city. And whereas the event encourages local engagement and supports community organizations, volunteers, and partners whose dedication and hard work make Duck Days a memorable and successful celebration each year. And whereas the city recognizes and appreciates the efforts of the planning committee, volunteers, sponsors, and participants who contribute their time, energy, and enthusiasm to ensure the continued success of Duck Days. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of University Place do hereby proclaim June 6th, 2026 as Duck Days in the City of University Place and encourage all residents to participate in and enjoy this celebration and to join in recognizing the spirit of community, cooperation, and celebration that Duck Days represents. Proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, June 1st, 2026. Wonderful. I'll present that to you. The time-honored tradition in our city, and UP Rotary and Fircrest Rotary have been so generous with this treasure hunt. Do you want to talk about it?
Yes. So I never miss an opportunity to promote what's happening in our city. So first of all, we started this treasure hunt idea, our Rotary Club and my fellow members who are with me here tonight, with 2 objectives. The first one was to promote businesses within our city, to increase foot traffic into the businesses by doing a treasure hunt whereby citizens would get a passport and visit businesses, learning about the different businesses in our city. So that was our first goal. Our second goal was, as we are a service organization, we are always in the process of raising money for different service projects, one of which is our relationship with the school district, and we raise money for scholarships for students at Curtis High School. So our second objective was to see if we could get some sponsors from some of our businesses to raise money for scholarships. So I'm happy to say that we accomplished both of those goals in our first ever treasure hunt. So we had 50 businesses participate this year, and again, citizens were asked to go out and go into at least 15 businesses, find the Rotary Duck, and then get their passports stamped. And the treasure hunt goes until Thursday. I hear that we have a lot of participants, citizens who've turned in passports at the library, which has been our central distribution and collection center, and a thank you to Bonnie and her staff, library staff, who have helped us with that. I'd also like to thank our city folks who have helped us along the way. I'm looking at Becky here, who we started this conversation with a long time ago. Our community relations staff, Marion Holloway, our coordinator of Duck Days, city council members who have helped us promote our Duck Days through social media and also through sponsors that we have received through the city. So we've had lots of support from the city, and we're very grateful to have built that relationship. Also want to say thank you to our citizens who went out and took part in the treasure hunt, had fun learning about different businesses, and to our citizens, and who did I leave out? Our citizens, of course, our Rotarians who helped us put this whole thing together, and our businesses. Did I mention our businesses? Okay, I missed someone. Yes, our school district also, who we have a close relationship with. So with that, I just want to say thank you to my fellow Rotarians who are here with us today, and also to all of you who have helped support this treasure hunt. We're super excited about Saturday. We're going to have a big raffle. Our first prize is $500 cash. So everyone who turned in a passport gets to participate in the raffle. And we have lots of donations from our businesses as well. So they've been very, very generous. So thank you so much. We're so grateful for our partnership with the city. We appreciate all of you. And with that, we say thank you, and let's have a great Duck Days.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, did you want everyone?
We're going to have council kind of zoom around to the side here. We'll get a quick photo. Yeah.
As you're doing that, Mayor, may they introduce themselves as well?
Oh, please do.
My name is Brent Johnson. I am the president-elect of the Rotary Club this coming next year, and I'm not supposed to say anything, but I'm gonna. We were blown away, or continue to be blown away, with the response from not only the citizens and the businesses. I took a quick peek at the stack of passports already turned in. It's a significant stack already, and we've got till Thursday, so pretty exciting.
Hi, I'm Chris Foss. I'm a Curtis grad of 1989.
I'm Claudia Ellsworth, and I'm a Rotarian. I want to mention that Chief Burke is also a member of our club.
I'm Bonnie Spitovsky. I'm a Rotarian, but also the Regional Programs and Services Supervisor down at the library. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask council, instead of you kind of running up and down, why don't we just stay down here? And I'm going to grab my little here. Oop, just lost my sheets. You sometimes think the mayor gets to ad lib, but not really. So our second presentation tonight is going to be for the Pride Month proclamation, and what's important about this is really to let folks know that in our community, in our city, we are all inclusive of all residents, all citizens, regardless. And tonight, to receive that proclamation, we are privileged to have Amira Seagal. I hope I got your name right, Amira, who is the Pride Counseling for Northwest. And to present that proclamation is Councilmember Ed Woods.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, hi. Here, why don't you join me right here? Yeah. So, City of University Place Proclamation. Whereas every person deserves to live with dignity, safety, and respect, free from discrimination and fear. And whereas Pride Month is observed annually to honor the history, contributions, and resilience of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and other sexual and gender diverse people. And whereas individuals from these communities have enriched our society through leadership, creativity, service, and advocacy across all fields of civic life. And whereas recognizing Pride Month affirms our shared commitment to equality, opportunity, and the fundamental human rights of all people. And whereas fostering understanding and inclusion strengthens the social, cultural, and economic vitality of our communities. And whereas it is essential to acknowledge the ongoing work needed to ensure fairness, acceptance, and belonging for present and future generations. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the month of June is hereby recognized as Pride Month, and all residents are encouraged to reflect upon the values of compassion, respect, and equality, to celebrate diversity in all its forms, and to support a community where everyone is welcomed and empowered to live authentically. Proclaimed by the City Council of the City of University Place, Washington, on June 1st, 2026. Signed, Stan Fleming, Mayor.
I just wanted to take a moment to express my gratitude for myself and our practice and our LGBTQ community being recognized by the City of University Place. I've always experienced UP as a place where I feel safe and I feel welcome and I feel celebrated, and I think this is a great representation of the spirit of the city. I also wanted to introduce my colleague Des Haig. She is another clinician in my practice. I have a practice called Pride Counseling Northwest. We provide therapy for the LGBTQ community and our families, and we also train interns and new clinicians in becoming competent to serve our community in the best way that we can. And we feel so welcome here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item of business is some recognitions. It's hard to believe that a city as young and / as old as we are have folks that are retiring. We have two tonight. One is Becky Metcalf, and the other is Susie Haney. Susie could not be with us tonight, but Jack Eklund is going to be making some comments here in a moment. But I want to just read a quick short blurb here about Becky. You're going to be missed here, kiddo. We appreciate everything you have done for our city. You know, we especially for your dedication and exceptional service in the Economic Development Department over the past 23 years. That's almost as long as the city has been around. So that's impressive. You know, we value your unwavering commitment, your leadership, and the meaningful contributions that you've made to our community. There have been many of those. You know, Becky's dedication to supporting local business has made a lasting impact on University Place, and her efforts have helped foster a stronger, more vibrant community that benefits both residents and businesses alike. And we would like to truly, on behalf of the city, extend our gratitude to you, Becky. Thank you for a job well done. And we definitely wish you continued happiness, good health, success, and fulfillment in the coming years. I'd like we have I always wish there was more we could do for folks, but this is really a memento to remember us over the coming years. I'm going to come down there, and then I'm going to take a moment to, I'm sure, for the time you've been with us, Councilmember Figueroa was the mayor for you. I'm going to start with him and let the council members make some quick comments as we go through this, okay? So give me a moment. Maybe I might. So this reads, in recognition and appreciation for your dedicated service to Becky Metcalf, University Place Community and Economic Development Services Department, 2003 to 2026. Thank you so much for your service. Right. You want to say anything, Becky?
Well, it has been a pleasure to work for the city for 23 years. I still remember the first day I drove into the parking lot to start work, and I had no idea at that time that I would be here 23 years and retiring from here. But it has been exhilarating and a fantastic city to work for and with. I couldn't have asked for a better place to be, and I thank the council so much for their support for the business community. It's made it fantastic to go out and support the city to the businesses. So thank you so much. I will miss people that I've met and worked with here, but I'm looking forward to stepping into my next phase of life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Guess we got to do this. Thank you. Okay, with that said, Councilmember Figueroa, I'll let you lead off since you were had the leadership helm during a lot of her tenure. So if you would please. Thank you.
I feel like I need to stand up to honor you, but I don't have the mic, and I might be able to. Let's see. There we go. Well, Becky, been on the council for 16 years. Known you that long. That's a long time. And what I felt and have seen is a person that has given University Place a nice welcoming to a lot of businesses, and to a nice welcoming to a lot of other organizations that you have pulled together, either ribbon cuttings or events like with the Chamber of Commerce. Those events, they keep coming here because they're done right. If they were not done right, they would not be coming back. They would find another place to go. And it says a lot when those events continue to grow and grow. And ribbon cuttings where businesses are calling and saying, I want that too. Because it's been a very positive, the way you put it together, it has been very positive to those businesses and to our community. And, it's just your attitude, a happy attitude, a positive attitude, which accounts for a lot when you're representing our city, our community, our council, the staff. It means a lot when a person stands up tall with a happy chin and with a positive mind and tries to just be there for those businesses and everybody else around that bubble. And I think that all says a lot about you. And for 23 years to do that and to continue from day one to the end, I believe that it really does impact others. As we all know, when we speak, when we do positive things, and we always stay positive around people, is contagious. And thank you for being a very contagious, positive, and happy person. Thank you, and nice knowing you, and the best health and the best fun you can have in your retirement. You bet.
Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. So one of the best compliments I can give somebody is that they're present, that they show up. And I will say you show up. You are always there when we're doing anything business related. Heck, most of the time you set it up, not just showed up. And so I just really appreciate your work ethic, the effort you put into this, the passion for the work. And I'm going to steal from Javier for a minute, use the word positive. I like to think, and we've heard many times, we have a positive business climate in this community. That's been one of our council goals. Well, for the 5 years I've been on council, at least, probably much longer. But you're the face of that policy. You're the one who's out there interacting with the businesses and representing the community to them. And I just really appreciate the work you've done. It's obvious in the way our city is right now. So thank you. And best wishes in your retirement.
Thank you. Councilmember Grassi.
Oh, thank you. These are for you. And I just want to say I am a proud second generation of Grassis that have been grateful for your service to this city. You are such a kind friend and representation of our city. I saw it through my dad's work and now through mine. To be able to get to work with you has been such a treasure. And those are yellow roses because yellow rose represents continued long friendship and a celebration of that friendship. And I know that even though your employment ends, your friendship of the city continues, and you are truly a friend to all of us and to the businesses. You only get one chance to make a first impression. And so you've made our first impression to so many businesses and to community members. And I just want to thank you for making that first impression one of excellence and kindness, and your spirit shines through. So thank you. I wish you all the best in this next season of life, and thank you so much for all the beauty you've brought to our city.
And thank you. Councilmember Cunningham.
Well, I'm just grateful that I got to experience you before your departure. But I've known you, of course, through the years and all the great things that you've done and the ribbon cuttings. I'm glad that I got to be a part of a few with you before your departure. And I know that you left this place better than you found it 23 years ago. And we will work really hard to make sure that we maintain the beauty and connection that you've created for us. And I know that Wesley will do the same. So thank you for everything. And I wish you the best. And I know that you're going to come hang out with us, right? Okay. So thank you so much, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you. Thank you for your kindness, your consistency, and your friendship. Thank you for how you taught while you were here in spaces where you didn't have to. When people needed help and they looked to you, you just came right away. And I can tell you from experience, that's exactly what you did with me. Having had the opportunity to have 3 tours for the Planning Commission, you were always the light that always made things that were complex simple, and always gave us a freshness every time we had an opportunity to convene. So that was never small to me. It continued to carry over in the economic development space, having had opportunities to enjoy the West Side business efforts that you were so instrumental in ensuring that the chambers became inextricably linked and that we could grow in that space. I just appreciate you, as you know, in so many different ways. I don't know now if I can enjoy luncheons and after lunch activities in secret anymore because you're going to be retired. My whole hope is that you have just as much fun outside the City of University Place as you have certainly given me and others with your service. And as folks have alluded to, how you show up, how you are positive, and most importantly, the face of what we really want to see, the most important impact for the city of University Place. Thank you so much, Becky. Enjoy your retirement.
And thank you. And I hate to do this to my colleagues one more time, but if you would please join Becky down
Mayor,
here.
our pleasure.
Thank you. We'll do this one more time. Where are we going?
Okay, got it.
Becky, you can't go.
Oh.
Well, the mayor offered me a chance to say a few comments. City Manager Steve Sugg, for those who don't know. Becky and I have worked together since she came on board in 2003, and I was working in the engineering and public works department building stuff, and Kevin was over planning all of what you see out there. And what we were pretty good at building things, getting buildings built, getting roads built, getting the infrastructure that you see, the physical stuff. But what's more important, or what's critically important, is once those things are built, how do you activate it? How do you make it come alive and make it human? That's where Becky came in. And I was so pleased that coming out of the Great Recession, and then, there was business growth, and she was working with businesses, promoting existing businesses to stay on, hang in there, things will get better, and providing advice and counsel to them, and they did. A lot of them are still here. And then each year she welcomed new businesses into the community. And I was fortunate enough to actually present this great information annually to the council. What a fantastic thing to report when all you hear in the news was business closures. But University Place continued to have this be this special place to own and operate a business. And Becky provided the human connection at the city to let businesses know we have your back. And I can't thank her enough for, it's the quiet competence, I call it. It's very understated. It's not loud and brash, but it's just this friendly, warm, and competent feel that you get when people are stressed. Becky always makes it right and lets you know that things are going to be great. So, and she had that same confidence and competence with our Economic Development Commission, and that's why they loved her so much. So. Becky, we had a great employee reception for Becky last week, and I gave similar comments to the employee group that turned out, and it was a great reception. But it's great for the public here to hear tonight that we have one of the great employees that we've had and the great leaders in our business community representing the city here, ending a fantastic career and moving on to that next stage. So, Becky, thank you so much. We'll pass the mic back to...
Back to Emmy or the Deputy City Clerk. Congratulations again. Thanks so much, Becky. The next person the City Council and the City of University Place would like to recognize is Susie Haney for her exceptional dedication and valuable service over the past 21 years in the Parks and Facilities Department. Through this recognition, we express our sincere appreciation for her outstanding commitment, loyalty, and contributions to the City of University Place. Susie's unwavering dedication and positive impact have helped shape the quality of our parks and our community spaces, leaving a lasting legacy for residents to enjoy. We want to extend our heartfelt thanks to Susie and wish her many more happy, healthy, and fulfilling years ahead in her retirement. Jack Eklund, our Director of Public Works, who's her supervisor, wanted to add some comments and remarks for Susie tonight. Jack?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say, and I'm sorry Susie wasn't able to make it here tonight, but we certainly are going to miss her. You know, she has made such a big impact over the many years she's been here at UP. You know, her efforts and dedication have really. There isn't a piece of our public spaces anywhere in the city that she hasn't had a hand in helping beautify, making it more enjoyable for everyone out there. So if you've been to a park and you've enjoyed the landscaping, a bit of shade, some flowers, some of the color, there's a little piece of Susie in everything, because she's really just such a tremendous steward of our parks, our public spaces, and you know, she leaves some really big shoes to fill, and we really truly will miss her and wish her all the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'd like to move to item number 6, which is public comment. In public comment, this is a portion of the agenda. This is an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments to the City Council about any item not appearing on the agenda or on the consent agenda. And for those who are joining us online, the instructions on how to participate are shown on the screen. To our Deputy City Clerk, is there anyone online who wishes?
There's no one online, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to those that are here in the chamber. First, we have is Sylvia Thompson. If you'd come up and, please grab a chair. And you have to pull the mic close to you so we can hear you up here. Otherwise, we don't hear you at all. And if you'd just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes, please.
Okay. My name is Sylvia Thompson. My address is 4221 Juniper Drive West in University Place.
And you have to get a little bit closer.
Closer? Is this good?
You can pull the whole thing up to you if you like. It's almost like you're going to eat the mic. That's how close you have to get.
Like this.
There you go.
This is good? Okay. Thank you very much. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and everybody joining us here and online. My name is Sylvia Thompson. I'm a University Place resident, a mother, a small business owner, an Army veteran, and founder of Northwest PokeFest. I've seen firsthand how strong communities are built when families have the opportunity to gather and local businesses have the opportunities to thrive. It makes a place where residents feel connected and they're proud to call the city that they live in home. That's why I'm here tonight to propose this opportunity to create Northwest PokeFest here in the city in which I reside, University Place. So every weekend, families travel from where they live to attend different kinds of events for Pokemon, whether it's playing cards or going to purchase those cards. So there's already a demand for Pokemon. Actually, Washington State is second in the nation of Pokemon fans. Last year, I hosted Northwest PokeFest in Mountain Lake Terrace. It was a private event. However, we had over 200 attendees show up for our first event. My intent that year was to not have it be a private event. However, due to the time constraints, that was the easiest thing to do. My plan and goal moving forward would be to bring that type of event here to the city to engage with our residents and to help mobilize the Pokemon community to come here, view our beautiful city, and to spend money and support our local economy. So how would we do this? We would bring card vendors and events here to the city. However, we would not bring food trucks or things of that nature because University Place already has that. I also developed an app kind of akin to the treasure hunt that Duck Days is currently using right now or going through right now, except it would all be online. And businesses would be able to participate in this via a QR code, so it would not interrupt their business, especially when they're seeing increased attendance from the Pokemon fans.
I think we've hit the time limit. I apologize.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. We also have with us this evening Gordon McCreary. If you also would please just state your name, address for the record, and speak very closely to the mic.
Yep. Hello, my name is Gordon McCreary. I live at 4109 Sunset Drive West.
And you'll get 3 minutes too.
Cool.
Thank you.
I'm here speaking as the leader of my recently founded coalition, the University Place Shoreline Public Access Coalition. And I'm here specifically to talk about in the theming of the updates that's coming soon to the Parks, Rec, and Open Space Plan that gets updated every 6 years. Since I moved here 5 years ago, I wasn't around when that last iteration was released, and so I dug it up and did some analysis on it, and I thought there was some interesting insight from the lens of shoreline access I think would be valuable to share that maybe we could learn from going forward. And so from reading through the plan, I noticed that it opens by identifying the Puget Sound as a key piece of our city's identity, while also calling out that public or access to the Puget Sound is limited in our city. And some of the goals that the plan lays out is either directly talk about expanding or improving that public access, or there's other adjacent goals like trail expansion and things like that, that if these public access projects were taken on, could also support those goals. Following those two sections, there is a public outreach section where it's clear that shoreline access was a popular topic for the people providing this feedback. And going through the appendix, there's even some people who provided written comment with some of the same suggestions I've been bringing to the Parks Commission recently of some places that would theoretically have less friction for us to start with for improving this access. But in the end, the actual plan doesn't include any shoreline projects at all. We do have Chambers Creek Regional Park in University Place, but that's a Pierce County park. So the University Place Parks has nothing along the shoreline at all. There's no investment, and 6 years later, we're kind of in the same state because nothing was written into the plan to actually propose improving that. And so my ask for the City Council is to be aware of this gap that maybe happened 6 years ago and see, going forward, if there's things we can improve in these sort of plans so that it doesn't get overlooked for another 6 years.
Thank you, Mr. McCurry. If you want to stick around, item number 10 on our agenda tonight is the Parks and Rec Open Space Plan.
Yeah. I have to get to dinner, but I will definitely watch the VOD when it's released.
There you go. Thank you very much. Yeah, is there anyone else present tonight for public comment? Okay. Seeing that there's none, we'll move then to item number 7A through E. The consent agenda, I will accept a motion this time for the consent agenda to adopt it.
Mayor, I move for approval of our consent agenda as proposed for adoption.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any objections to approve the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. Let's move to item number 8. This is the city managers and the council members' comments and reports. We will start with Mr. Sutton, please.
Thank you, Mayor and council members and members of the public and those watching online. This Saturday is Duck Days, and you heard earlier there was a proclamation professed by the City Council, approved by the City Council regarding Duck Days. I believe this might be the 25th or 26th year that we've had the Duck Parade on Bridgeport Way and followed by festivities. It's always the first Saturday in June. It kicks off at 10 a.m. this Saturday, June 6th. Starting at the corner of 29th Street and Bridgeport Way, the parade will proceed south to 37th Street, which is just at the end of this block, and turn left and end at the West Pierce Fire and Rescue's Fire Station 31 behind this building. Festivities following the parade include out here on Market Square and within the village here, food trucks, live music, children's attractions, face painting for kids, games, costume characters, lots of children and family activities. We've got the South Sound Makers Market here as well. And at Fire Station 31, West Pierce Fire is hosting their annual open house from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Very popular event with free hot dogs and refreshments. And you have a chance for the kids and adults to check out their great equipment. That's my report, Mayor, Council.
Thank you very much. And it's exciting what's coming up on Saturday. So it's awesome. Okay, let's move to council reports and comments, and we'll start this evening with Councilmember Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm excited for Duck Days. I think it's a full circle moment for me because I've been in Duck Days in a lot of ways, but it'll be my first council elected Duck Days, so I'm excited and I'm looking to my colleagues to show me what to do and what we're doing. So I hope to see you guys all there. Fingers crossed for the weather because so far it doesn't look that great and I'm concerned. But it's been a really long month, and I was telling my colleagues, has it been this long? And I feel like we've done so many things so long ago. But I attended a lot of events in the month of May. Some that stood out to me the most was touring the Tacoma Rifle and Revolver with my colleagues. That was earlier in the month, and it was an interesting experience. But, you know, it's nice to be able to support a place that's been there for over 125 years. They've sustained quite a bit of evolution with our city, so it was nice to go there and learn and to watch what happens in that place. And it's not, we live close, but it seems so far away when you're actually there, but it feels like it's in your backyard. So it was interesting to do that. I attended a few galas. One that was important to me that I go every year is the Communities for a Healthy Bay. We mirror, you know, we're bordering the Puget Sound, so environmental stewardship is important to us, and it was nice to show that they had great goals and progress at that event. Annually, they do a great job of making sure that our bays are clean. It's important because we have Chambers Bay out here, we have, you know, what do we call it? Day Island over here in the neighboring of the Puget Sound. So it's important that we support, and it was nice to be there among other electeds to show our support. I also attended the Northwest Furniture Bank Gala. Housing insecurities is an important thing, and it was my first time going to that event, but it was great to see exactly what it feels like to be able to furnish someone's home that have come from hard beginnings. Domestic violence, just being unhoused. So it was great to show how they rally. They're opening up another location in Vancouver in a couple of months, so it's exciting to show the support that they broke ground and that their infrastructure out there is being built and ready to go. The last thing that I did that was important to me, and I was excited to watch our mayor give some remarks at the Memorial Day ceremony over at Tacoma Cemetery, New Tacoma. So it was nice and cold and windy, but you did a great job, and it was great to be there to hear his remarks. And, you know, we heard you at the Veterans Day ceremony. So it was great to support him along with Mayor Pro Tem McCluskey. So it's been a great month. And again, just continuing to learn and support my colleagues as they do great things in the community. That's all I have, Mayor.
That's a lot. Thank you so much, too. And thank you for your support there.
Of course.
Much appreciated. Councilmember Figueroa. Sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Talking about the Memorial Day, I don't know for those that may not know, and that is that in University Place, our Tacoma Cemetery, Tacoma Cemetery, we have a Medal of Honor there, private, from World War II. And it's always an honor to know that we have such an honor there. So that, and so for the first time, I've gone to the inclusive playground, kind of just looked at it, and then, just left, but I never just stuck around. I don't have any kids or grandkids around, unfortunately, but I did just stick around and just sit down and talk to people. I was curious. I did this yesterday, by the way, so it's fresh in my mind, and just talked to some folks, mostly mothers, moms, and just asked them, what do you think, and how do you like it, and just with a big grin, just really happy. But they did. I said, anything we can improve. Oh yeah. So two themes that came up. One was it would be nice to have vending machines of some sort because of water. A lot of people don't bring water or something to drink or snack on. They say, why wouldn't we have vending machines so we can buy things like that? And I said, well, I'll share it. Or maybe a food truck that would come in for the busy Saturday and Sunday. I assume I'm not there every weekend, but I hear that it's pretty busy. Why not have a food truck that will be willing to stay out there? So it's just food for thought. And the other one was the restrooms. So they said, and I tried it myself and they were right, is if you go and there's a locking machine, this little thing that looks like you're supposed to push something, and it doesn't really work. You just open it if there's nobody inside. But if somebody is inside, it locks. You can lock it. You push the thing and it locks it. But from the outside, there's nothing to say that somebody's in there. So all you do is you're trying to open it and it's locked. And I actually saw a couple of people that were pushing buttons thinking, maybe 000 and all that, and nobody could figure it out. So they were trying to figure out how to use, the public restroom. And so I didn't know either until somebody came out and said, oh. And I figured it out that, you would have to know that if it's locked, somebody's in there. So I thought maybe it might be nice if we had some kind of a sign that says, if you can't open it, whatever you want to say, someone's inside. So something appropriate that doesn't scare people half to death and saying, my kid really needs to go. So there you go. My last comment, Mayor, is that we just recently, some of us came back from a chamber-to-chamber Washington trip hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. And as part of our policy is to report the details. My report is still getting put together. That's going to be in the council files, as I reported before, where I would put them all extensively, and where anybody can have access to that report. So hopefully they'll be in those files by next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. So it's been a busy month. I would like to say, since the last meeting it started with, and I wanted to recognize the ribbon cutting at Bodie Construction. They actually turned a ribbon cutting into a Cinco de Mayo party, which I thought was fabulous. Right. So it was a very good time, and it was a great way to just introduce that business to our community. Also went up to Seattle for a day for a housing academy, and I won't read the whole agenda to you, but just some key points of focus. We're looking at everything from land use policies to off-site construction to different to support cheap, I won't say cheap, but that's not the right word, less expensive construction of housing to make housing more affordable for people who want to either own or rent. And they also talked about homelessness and some of the impacts of the housing affordability crisis we have in our community. And I will say that, the housing affordability is partly a problem of that we're just such a great place to live, and I'm not just talking UP, but just the entire Western region, that a lot of people want to come here. And because of that, that makes the housing we have, if you bought a home 20 years ago, you're set. If you didn't, you're not. And what we're trying to do is find a way to help those who aren't already in a home now, especially, or have a home ownership opportunity, to find those opportunities as they go forward with their families. I also represented the city at the South Sound Military Communities Partnership meeting. There we got a legislative update. infrastructure, transportation, and other ways that the local communities are partnering with our military community, particularly at JBLM. Some key priorities that were in front of the state this year because of the state budget were not funded, but they're going to keep trying for it in years going forward. And finally, I represented our cities on Memorial Day at the Fort Lewis Cemetery. So I missed your fine speech, Mayor. I apologize. But it was an honor, and it was a very moving ceremony, and just proud to be there and proud of those who have served and gone before. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you very much. Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone that's been in Chambers this evening. It's wonderful to see community members here. Thank you. Thank you for taking time and sharing your dream with us and your idea for the community. It's wonderful to hear ideas, so thank you for being here this evening. I, along with my colleagues, Mayor and Councilmember Boykin and Councilmember Figueroa, traveled to Washington, D.C. for the Chamber of Commerce Washington to Washington trip. And I just want to say, first of all, thank you to our city and to our citizens for sending me and for allowing me to be a part of that. That's an investment that you've made to allow us to go, and so I want to say thank you. We can stay here in University Place and we can wish and hope and complain about things that we want to see changed at the federal level or we want to advocate, or we can get on a plane and we can travel across the country and go in a wonderful group and advocate together, and that's what we did. We spent 3 days with leaders in the business community, the Chamber of Commerce, other jurisdictions, our utilities, and advocating for policy for our region, for our city. It was a wonderful time to be able to look into our elected leaders' face, and there is power in numbers. And so I think that this was a wonderful group to go to advocate and to really make sure that University Place is always a player, is a communicator, and it's seen as a good partner at the local and at the federal level. So it was wonderful to be there. Advocacy was a highlight. Making contact with the new small business. As you know, I always love to look for opportunities for small businesses, and as I was in Georgetown, found a new small business that doesn't have a location here yet, but they know about us now. So stay tuned for that. Always want to bring new attractions. Mr. Brisky, you may be getting a call soon, but we'll talk about that. Hearing about the upcoming World Cup and the impact that that's going to have on our local economy was very informative. Looking forward to that and hopeful that our businesses can benefit from the increased traffic from that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we're going to experience here in just a few days. And then also, just when you're in the right place at the right time, happen to meet all the way in Washington, D.C., the VP of Marketing for Mod Pizza. And as you know, Mod Pizza is one of our staples here in Market Square. And she and I got to talking, as women do, and she travels to Bellevue twice a month. And it was an incredible opportunity to share with her some of the frustrations that I've heard from our own local Mod Pizza staff and how we can elevate that. And she is the VP of Marketing. So new relationship built. You just never know. These trips go with an agenda. And if we're on our game and we take every opportunity, we can enhance that agenda and take every opportunity we can. So it was wonderful to be a part of it. And I'm sure my colleagues will share more of all of their highlights as well. I want to say thank you to Asuka, who's here in Chambers tonight, for hosting me at the Kern Apple Orchard. She shared her dream with me for a community garden, and I just want to say thank you. And it's a reminder to everyone watching and listening, just similar to your story as well, that if you have a dream for our community, this is a place where you can share it, where you can call us, where we can be responsive and hear your dream, and we work on it together. The inclusive playground, as Councilmember Figueroa just alluded to earlier, was the vision, the reality of a dream, of a community dream, and now look at that beautiful gathering space. So never be shy or think it's too far gone or too big. We want to hear about the dreams to make our community better. So thank you so much for taking the time to share that with me. Went to a Puget Sound Regional Council along with the mayor and Councilmember Boykin. Of course, that's a wonderful group to advocate and together transportation and infrastructure funding. But one of the highlights for me, I don't want to steal the mayor's thunder, as well as I'm sure he'll share some more about recent projects that were funded. But part of the panel was the president of Microsoft, president of JP Morgan Chase, and Eric Nordstrom, the president of Nordstrom. And as the panel was concluding, the moderator said, what do you want these elected officials in the room to know? And Eric Nordstrom held nothing back. And if you know about retail, I take some marching orders from people. Nordstrom is one of them. And they looked at all of us, and Eric Nordstrom said, do not forget about the small businesses in your community. Get to know the small businesses in your community. Get to know their names, their faces. That is the backbone of your city. And to hear that from Mr. Nordstrom was another reinforcement to me that we need to make small business a focus, and I hope that we will continue to do so. I'm grateful for Becky Metcalf's legacy that she's poured in, but I hope that we do more and we continue to level up. But to hear that reminder, this day and age is changing, and University Place can still be a player in that and turn the tide in what is a challenging business economy in our state. But don't forget about small business. Then I attended the West Side Wake Up for the Chamber on Friday. It was wonderful to see that room growing with local business and community leaders. C.R. Boyce, the owner of Hotworks, is doing a great job leading that gathering and making it monthly now. The room was filled with engaged leaders. I was happy to see Wesley as well, our economic development department there representing the city and being able to engage with other business owners. And then in conclusion, my small business highlight, I just want to say, is Beirut Bites. As you know, they're right here in our Market Square, and they have recently been featured on HGTV. They applied with another local real estate agent to tell their story and to highlight their business, and out of thousands of applicants, they were chosen. And so HGTV did a little special about University Place. They see 800,000 people view that channel a day. And so now University Place, and specifically Beirut Bites, has been in front of 800,000 people for the last week on HGTV. I shared the video with my colleagues, sent it over. I believe they sent it to our city communications department as well. But so proud to have that community business right here in Market Square. If you want a great lunch or dinner, go and visit them. So that is my highlight, and that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. As always, that's a lot, and it's great information. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor. And let me start by just affirming again the long service and the outstanding service by those that we celebrated tonight, making it a point to affirm not just their good works, but their goodness. And so that is, to me, a testament about how it is that City of University Place are able to not just attract strong employees, but also create an environment because of their skill set that it continues to make University Place a wonderful place to live, grow, and play. Let me follow up next without being redundant. I attended the Bodie ribbon cutting ceremony as well with other council members that had been that maybe had not been mentioned. Mayor Fleming, Pro Tem McCluskey, comes to mind, Councilmember Figueroa. Wanted to just make sure that there was a concerted effort to ensure that there was a really joyous time in not just ribbon cutting, but also in celebrating culture, as was made mention of with Cinco de Mayo. But it was just a fabulous way to demonstrate that they're here, the inclusion and the impact that they had on the community, and just a wonderful spread. So not for nothing, but for those that are looking for additional ribbon cutting opportunities, let's not compare, because they set it out. It was really a wonderful, wonderful event. Next, we had the opportunity to enjoy. Let me do two things. I want to delve into a little bit more detail for me regarding the 40th annual Washington, D.C. congressional fly-in, and I also want to make sure that I juxtapose that against additional detail for our ad hoc committee council effort that is going on. We've got more than one ad hoc committee, but I want to talk about one in particular. And so if you'll indulge me, let me just remind folks of that opportunity. It's been well said that we really appreciate, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to go represent the city in different spaces, particularly when we've got an opportunity to have a strategic community that is invested in the impacts that happened back here. And what we were doing with this 40th annual effort was looking at how it is that we can really encourage investment, not just in this space, but look at, in my view, 3 different ways in terms of impact that runs through increasing quality of life in this region, as well as, for me, most importantly, the City of University Place. And it had been positioned
in really three ways. But let me also say that the South Puget Sound leadership, it was also important to talk about that composition. You had non-for-profit leaders, you had for-profit leadership, you had people who were invested in business, in education, in trade, in port, in utility. It was just a wonderful way to demonstrate that we can come together, not just communicate, but actually learn to collaborate in ways in which it really impacts the area, and as I alluded to, runs through the impact ultimately for the city of University Place. Because we had the opportunity to have a captive audience in our congressional delegation, we took full advantage of that to talk about a strategic way to offer up what was impactful to the majority of people. But we also had the opportunity to lean into the relationships that we have that, again, impact the city of University Place. We got an opportunity with Mayor Fleming to meet one more time with our invested congressional delegation. We met with Councilwoman Strickland's team, and we were able to advocate on the things that we care most about here. Power Safe UP comes to mind, where there's going to be, best case scenario, 16 different intersections that's going to benefit from the ways in which we'd have an upgraded audio ADA impacts, as well as battery backup for those different intersections. That means that we've got enhanced public safety, which means we're talking about the right things all the time, and we're advocating for the things that you care most about. We also had an opportunity to prioritize, not so surprisingly, our bridge on Day Island as we look at the opportunity of, they've got 300 residents that go through that traffic flow each and every day, and the expectation that even though that's a structurally deficient bridge and an obsolete functional bridge, we keep bringing it to the forefront, because it's important that in our advocacy in all aspects that we're constantly making a point to prioritize City of University Place. To that extent, I wanted to just put a bow on the opportunity for the Washington trip. That's, when you talk about the South Sound region, you're talking about nearly 1 million people that have an opportunity to create economic development inside of one of the largest military institutions when you think about it across the country. So we've got a unique way in which we can create quality of life as well as demonstrate impacts that make this region attractive, and ultimately that means that University Place has an opportunity to elevate and grow subsequently. So I just was excited about what that meant, and was really, really appreciative to be a part of this 40th trip that has been strategically positioned to make sure, whether it's small business, education, economic development, there was a concerted effort to come together and create one concrete, clear message for impact. Again, I want to juxtapose that against what we had a chance to do here locally. The ad hoc committee under Madam Chair Cunningham, we had a chance to take a look at our commission engagement. And this is one of the charges that Mayor Fleming has provided us with, the expectation of ensuring that we have really valued engagement with our commissions, as well as the opportunity to have their individual talents and their individual impacts coalesce and align in a way that should elevate our engagement as we lean so heavily on our commissions for their expertise, for their research, as well as their opinion, because we take advantage of all things to make sure that the ideas are there, and that those ideas actually do the fighting, and the engagement makes us better, and as a result we're able to move different things forward. So I appreciate that, and the expectation of being able to move through that ad hoc committee with the expectations of meeting Mayor Fleming's mandate. And then lastly, I do want to say that the Puget Sound Regional Council, if I did make mention of that, thank you. Thank you for making it a center of some of the things that we had a chance to talk about. It is really impressive when you look at the Pacific Northwest, and the panel of CEOs that were available to us and giving us not just nuggets, but the secret sauce of how it is that we need to talk about where we're at and how we can move differently, better, special, to ensure that we have a fantastic economic plan and impact going forward. And so I can't say enough about the joyous comment that Councilmember Grassi alluded to. But we all know the small business is the backbone of business, period. But the way it was positioned and the expectation of how it is that we could look at that differently was noteworthy, to say the least. He really had a way of drawing people in, and I would say it's no secret behind the success of the succession of leadership that they have now in place. So thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to report. Really was appreciative of the time that I got a chance to enjoy the city. Representation and advocacy in all aspects as I alluded to.
Well, thank you, and thank you to all of you for what you do on behalf of the city. You know, it's really important as you report out that citizens realize, you know, you often hear the question, are we getting the bang for our buck with our electeds? And it's really important to recognize that your council members are fully engaged in executing the responsibilities of their offices, and we're very, very fortunate. I just want to add a couple of highlights to things that have already been discussed, but just kind of put a little cherry on the top of it, if I might, as far as my report goes. You know, the Bodie construction ribbon cutting was nothing short of outstanding. I thought, you know, the combination, as Councilmember Wood pointed out, with the Cinco de Mayo celebration was kind of uplifting and different than a typical ribbon cutting. But my takeaway was to recognize that the owners, Rick and Autumn, they're UP folks. They were born, bred, raised here in University Place. They left. They came back home. They've placed their anchor. This is their home to grow their business, and they're excited to be back here. And I thought that was huge. You know, the site visit to the Tacoma Rifle and Revolver Range. I know, having listened to both sides of the debate over the last 30-some years about how people may or may not feel about that range. It's important to realize it's a historic, institution, facility, whatever the proper term of it is. It's been here well over 120-some years. It obviously predates University Place. But the stewards of that range are remarkable people in terms of wanting to ensure that everything they do out there is safe for our community. What I also did not realize is that it's a nationally recognized range in which competitors come from all over the country to compete on that range annually. So I think we're fortunate that we have that gem in our backyard. The Washington to Washington, I think, has been well covered. I just wanted to, again, note that Representative Adam Smith, who's on the Transportation Committee there in the House, and Representative Strickland really do their part in supporting the city. They're working hard on behalf of their constituents, but what I was most impressed with was our ability to circle back to them one-on-one, as Councilmember Boykin said, and allow us to make our case. I've never had to really beg, but I was definitely begging that day that they put money in the transportation plan, which they were going to do a red line markup the following day for the Day Island Bridge. You know, as most people know, it's a bridge that's been here for a very long time. It's the only access to Day Island for our residents that are out there. I don't know how much longer that bridge will be with us, but it has to be replaced. We don't have options for that to keep those folks connected. The Puget Sound Regional Council meeting was, I attend the executive committee on behalf of the council, but I've never attended a meeting where I walked away going, wow, that was pretty remarkable. It was the annual not conference, but
Assembly.
Assembly, thank you. Where the keynote speaker was former Governor Gregoire. As said earlier, Brad Smith, who's the CEO at Microsoft, and Carrie Schroeder, who's the CEO at JP Morgan, and Eric Nordstrom, the CEO of Nordstrom's, were there. And it wasn't just, let me stand up and give a speech and take off and head out the door. Those folks stayed and met with us and talked with us for a long time. And the take-home message that they all had, including Governor Gregoire, was small business and business in general is the backbone for our state, and that they are being taxed out of existence in our state, and they're looking to leave. And they were imploring that all governmental entities, be it the state, be it county, be it cities, really take a hard look at how we're taxing our businesses. They were passionate. I've never seen CEOs that typically could care less, truly engaged and passionate about the message they were trying to give us at there. Memorial Day, thank you for the kind comments there. Memorial Day is obviously a recognition of our veterans who have served. I had the privilege last year of going to Fort Lewis. I didn't realize at the time that's one of the oldest cemeteries also in this region, and thank you for being there for our fallen veterans. But just being at the New Tacoma Cemetery it's a quiet spot and a great place to reflect and honor, all our veterans there, including, as Councilmember Figueroa pointed out, the Medal of Honor recipient that is interned there at that cemetery. It was while it was a very cold and very windy day, I was so impressed with the turnout. There were so many of our residents and citizens that turned out for that ceremony. It was very humbling and impressive. The last comment I would like to make, and our city manager did an extremely great job, and that's one more plug for Duck Days for our citizens. That is one of our treasures. It's an annual celebration for the whole community to partake in. It's I think one of the greatest, coolest things going on in the city, in which we get not just the city engaged, but we've got our immense support from our public safety, from our fire department, and from our businesses around the community. I'll put a plug for my wife, who is here tonight. Again, there's no nepotism here, but her and her team actually canvassed 100% of our businesses here in University Place, trying to get all of them engaged, get them riled up, get them excited about the Duck Days and the businesses and the community, and getting citizens engaged in that. And I think they did a phenomenal job for their first year out with that, and we hope to see them come back again in the future and do more. So with that said, again, thank you all so much for what you all do. It's very impressive. Seeing that there are no further reports or comments tonight, let's move from item number 8 and recess now into study session. Our first item on the agenda tonight is the Town Center Business District Sub-Area Plan. We have Kevin Brisky, who's the Community and Economic Development Director, along with Mary Chase from Urban Systems, who's the Project Manager, Emily Pica, who's the Project Director for Eco Northwest Consultants, who are joining us online. So, Mr. Brisky.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. Kevin Brisky with the Community and Economic Development Department here, as you mentioned, with Mary Chase and Emily Pica with the consultant team Eco Northwest. Tonight we will be presenting the second study session on the Town Center Sub-Area, Town Center Business District Sub-Area Plan, which is essentially a guidance document for the next 20 years for how the town center area will grow and develop. A little background. Puget Sound Regional Council originally approved a regional growth center in 2017, which included 3 sub-areas: the Northeast Business District, 27th Business District, and Town Center Business District. Within the regional growth center plan, there was recommendations to do sub-area plans on those 3 districts. And the council has previously adopted both the Northeast and the 27th by resolution. The 27th was, I believe, in 2024, and the Northeast was first in 2023 timeframe. Going into the Town Center Business District, the Planning Commission held 3 meetings, including a public hearing, and made a unanimous recommendation to the City Council to adopt the plan. The plan was also presented to the Economic Development Commission as well for any comments. It was put out for public comment as well. It was sent out to state agencies, including the Department of Commerce and Puget Sound Regional Council for comment. I'm going to take the first couple of slides, first 3 slides, including this one. We have about 20 total slides in here. Chance for the council to make comments and ask any questions as well. I will turn it over on slide 4 to Eco Northwest and their group. If I can get it to change. I feel like that one commercial, technology, am I right?
You have to log out and log back in, Kevin.
Control-Alt-Delete.
There you go.
I believe we're getting some help from the back that will take it through.
All right, there you go.
So tonight we will review the Regional Growth Center, the Town Center Plan, updates to the Town Center Business District Plan, and discussion on the plan's recommendations. It's working. The next slide here, just to reiterate that Puget Sound Regional Council just recently recertified our Regional Growth Center Plan. And that was done a couple of months ago. They sent us a nice letter. I think we forwarded that to the council. This was a big deal. They periodically do these reviews. There won't be another one for another 5 years to get the recertification. There's 30 regional growth centers within the greater region. And essentially what that allows the City of University Place to, it gives us a competitive advantage from grants from the Puget Sound Regional Council. And those are transportation grants on many of the projects that you've seen done over probably since we were a candidate center up to 15 years ago. The most recent one that I think is most visible, all the sidewalks on 35th Street that were recently completed, having the Regional Growth Center helped us accomplish and receive that grant. And by having the recertification, once again, this is recertified for 5 years, and they'll do another kind of review of the progress in University Place in 5 more years and go through another recertification. And I will say that I got a little intel. I know not, at least there was a few of the regional growth centers that may have been a little bit on the naughty list, I guess to say, and they didn't quite take the steps to get the they didn't get decertified, but I was pleased that the council steps the council's made, changes to our form-based code, and these district plans has really helped achieve that recertification that we recently received. And now I'll turn it over to the consultant team.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. So we're seeing the slides fine. If we could just skip to the next one there. Oh, now we're not. Awesome. That's working. Thank you. So I'm going to start with a quick recap from the last study session that we attended. And I'll just give an overview that this plan is, again, part of that PSRC Regional Growth Center, and it's the last of these 3 district plans in University Place to be adopted after the Northeast Business District and the 27th Street plans. So these 3, they collectively support implementation of the broader Regional Growth Center vision, and tonight we're looking at that green portion to the bottom along the Bridgeport corridor. If we go to the next slide, we added this one just to help illustrate how this plan fits into that broader planning framework. So if we start on the far left here, at the regional level, Vision 2050 from PSRC, that establishes these growth and development goals that are meant to span across all of these regional growth centers. And then there's these identified geographies that run all up and down the region, including University Place. I know my circle's a little bit off there, got a little stretched, but you can see the dot down there that identifies it. And then that goes through this checklist that PSRC maintains for regional growth centers, which includes 55 total different requirements that we won't go through all of them tonight, but I'll talk in a minute or two about all the categories that are in it. And then that, at the more local level, you have a regional growth center plan that was adopted in 2017, and that has more of the locally specific goals and targets identified, and which, as Kevin was mentioning, are implemented as that last step through these district-specific plans. So we are at the end of this long chain of different pieces of the planning ecosystem here. In the next slide, we have a little bit more about that checklist, just to look at the categories that are included in it. Before we get to the recommendations later, we wanted to elaborate on what some of these requirements are, that those 55 components, they must address pieces of the analysis that are in the plan, like our development capacity analysis and our market analysis. But they also cover different types of policies and programs that have to be considered. There's 8 of those buckets on the right here that you see, and we've condensed some of those in the goals so that it's not so overwhelming. And then this is also just, I think, an important context slide that we wanted to share around framing the town center plan. And to be clear, that this is meant to be a long-range vision document. It's about a 20-year planning horizon that identifies community priorities and goals and opportunities, and that's after engaging with over 700 community members who participated in our survey, in our focus groups, and our interviews, and what they want to see in this area in the future. So it's also, again, part of that regional planning system, and we're not recreating the wheel on the way that this is structured and what kind of recommendations we have in here. I think it's also important for us to just address what the town center is not, because it is more of that vision level document, not necessarily a full implementation plan. Now, it doesn't have components like specific capital improvements or cost estimates, but our team at Methuen, they put together some beautiful guiding graphics, but those also aren't a final design proposal. Really, this plan is more of a starting point for implementation. So as any of these ideas advance, there will be future discussions about some of those scope and costs and more of the fleshed out details.
May I ask a quick question? When you say there's 52 items in the plan that you use the term may be considered in building it, is it, when you use that term, does that mean that we may consider them but we don't have to include them, or we really have to include them?
If we flip back a slide on those requirements, are we able to go back one?
Yeah, I'm on slide 6. Is that the one?
There we go. Okay. So these are required components, those 55 things in the checklist. A lot of them, the language within them doesn't specify you must adopt this exact policy, but it says types of policies and types of programs that have to be included and covered in the plan.
So this is very prescriptive to the city. Is that right?
Yeah, so this regional framework, it has a lot of things that are prescribed that have to be in the plan. It does leave flexibility to set those actions and what you want them to be for the city, but it does say that you have to have things that are in each one of these categories.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Slide 7, or would you like slide 8?
We can go to slide 8. I'm happy to stop if folks have other questions about some of the requirements, but otherwise we can move into this one.
I think we're good here.
Okay, awesome. Well, this last piece of context is about just the structure of the document itself a little bit more than we got into last time. So the plan has 5 chapters that cover first that big picture, purpose and context. Then we have a condensed summary of our process and all the themes from the engagement that we did. There's a lot more of that in Appendix B with all of the results from our survey and what we heard from different conversations. Chapters 3 and 4, we have a profile of the town center and then more of a dive into existing conditions and how this plan translates the Regional Growth Center into this sub-district of it. And then the plan goals and recommendations, which we have slides on that we'll get into tonight to talk through anything that we didn't get to in our last conversation. But wanted to run also through these appendices that have detail on all of the technical work that went into this plan. So Appendix A covers all the alignment that this plan has with there's dozens of county and city policies that match up with the town center that we have documented there. That is one of the PSRC requirements to make sure that it actually matches with city and county policies. Then Appendix B, we have some of those results from our, again, over 700 respondents, which participated and sharing their thoughts about the town center. Appendix C, we have our market analysis, which has more about the data points that you see in chapters 3 and 4 in the plan and what went into that. And then development capacity analysis, that's another required component that breaks down the regional growth center estimates into how they match the sub-districts. And then design analysis that has a lot more of Methune's background work that went into the design framework and the graphics that you'll see. So I can pause again for a moment before we move into the goals and actions if folks have any questions that they want to bring up about the plan structure or any of that background.
None here.
Great. Well, then let's jump into it. With that context, we'll shift into the final plan goals and then the key actions that are in each one of them. Our intent here is not really to revisit every detail, but we're going to walk through the recommendations and we can pause and discuss any questions or concerns that folks have. This reflects some small changes from the last time. One of our big goals here was just to be clear about what this plan is and the direction that it sets in terms of not being too prescriptive, but still giving direction on how to achieve these goals for the town center. So this first one here is about redevelopment, and really this one focuses on encouraging compact mixed-use redevelopment to support all of the objectives and all of the targets for housing and jobs and services in the town center as a place that is supposed to be a concentration of those in University Place. So the first set that you see here, we have things that we heard about looking at zoning changes that can allow some more redevelopment flexibility. In our development capacity analysis that we did, we saw that as a need to try to get to some of those target numbers, to have a little bit of that, especially on higher priority sites. Supporting land assembly, so helping get the parcels together in order to support development, and also partnering with Pierce County and Tacoma Public Utilities on getting infrastructure planning and regional planning in line with some of those designated growth areas in the town center. Just a quick note too, on each one of these slides, we have the page numbers for where you can find these in the plan that have more of the details around each action.
Could you give us an example when you say explore zoning changes to allow greater redevelopment? Could you give us an example in the plan or here in the town center where we would need to do those zoning changes to accommodate that?
So I know you all have made changes to the zoning code there in recent years. Looking at sites that might need more flexibility. For example, if you got a mixed-use development that wanted more flexibility for the required footage of ground floor commercial, for example, or greater density to accommodate more housing units, having a little bit more flexibility for that in the plan can help support development. This doesn't have specific numbers tied to any of those, though, in terms of zoning changes.
And I can comment a little on that. There was the council took a lot of strides in that direction with the form-based code to create a lot of flexibility back in 2020. So I think the city's taken a big step. But I always think you can always look for more opportunities when it comes to flexibility, when it comes to land use regulations. I mean, my experience with zoning over the years is you think you've got to. You think you've written it perfectly. Oh yeah, I've thought of every possible situation here, and then a situation comes up where it's, I wish we had another flexible angle here in our zoning to allow this certain development to happen. So while I don't think there's anything necessarily specific off the top of my head we can necessarily think of right now, but this is saying, hey, we should always continue to look at addressing potential changes that might be needed as things evolve over time. Markets change all the time, and different building typologies change and types of construction, and those things I think we always, as they evolve, we need to be nimble in that respect.
I always thought that when we did form-based, and I know several council members who worked hard on the zoning here in the city, that we had built in that flexibility already, and maybe we use what we have and apply it to this rule here. And I agree, there's always room for improvement. I think what I would be just a little bit, call it paranoid, if you will, where if we were to open the door on zoning changes to the extent that it changes the feel and the look of our community that I know the council throughout at least these more recent years has worked so hard on. I just kind of say, I'd like to, the devil's always in the details, and it would be important to see what those details are. I think before we get all excited about wanting to go down that path, for what it's worth. But that's one comment. Councilman Boykin, I know you've got a comment.
I just wanted to say, Mayor, I certainly understand the caution if the flexibility, particularly if you were thinking about farm-based codes or the flexibility that has been granted more recently to move us in a direction that's challenging. But the flexibility, generally speaking, for any municipality gives us greater control. And I think that's probably what we're alluding to when we say that we're looking for more flexibility because of the expectation of the zoning changes. It's just, in my view, I should say, it is typically a scenario where it gives us greater local control of what it is that we want to make sure that we're able to encourage. So if you have, whether it's community character
or some other element in which you'd like to see us exercise more caution, the flexibility actually gives us more control for that particular aspect.
Makes sense. Any comments down here? Questions? Okay. Thank you.
Going to slide 12 then.
So to continue on some of these specific growth and redevelopment actions, the first one here, this is something we changed a little bit from the last version that you saw. Establish clear interim residential and employment growth targets for the town center. When we try to break down those numbers that we had in the development capacity analysis, I think it helps to think about it in an interim way, that you're not going to get all of the 800 units that could happen in the next 20 years, or the 600 jobs aren't going to happen overnight. They're not going to happen all at once, but just understanding some of the interim, like 600 jobs in 20 years really equals 30 jobs a year on average, and trying to set some of those interim numbers and targets. Also adopting anti-displacement strategies. This is a proactive measure around redevelopment to set those in place early and ensure that redevelopment can support affordability, look for opportunities for affordable home ownership, pardon me, and just try to prevent displacement of existing residents.
Sorry, I'm just going to jump in there and let Mary cough a little bit. But earlier in this meeting, we were talking about creating more housing choice for families living in the community. This anti-displacement strategies, the town center is a place to put those in that could serve anti-displacement work citywide. So you're really trying to keep the families that want to stay in University Place there by providing them with different housing choices. So like a place that they can move when their family is young, or maybe before they have kids, and then when they have a kid or have one kid. So the town center really offers that kind of scaffolding and a place, especially if you can achieve condos, which is very difficult with the regulations, but that's one option too.
And in a similar way, this last bullet point, thinking proactively about some of the community goals. If you're going to see the most growth in this area, looking for opportunities to encourage energy efficiency and sustainable units in this area where University Place is expecting to see the most growth and the most new housing units.
Awesome. Councilmember Wood and then Councilmember Grassi have questions.
Thank you, Mayor. So my question is, because I was reading through what's here in the plan, and I really appreciate you putting in there creating opportunities for home ownership. But I guess this is a task to the city staff as well. Is I'd love to get more specifics on how we get there from here, because it's, one thing cities don't do is we don't build anything. We just set conditions for other people to build things, and how we incentivize, encourage, or whatever developers and others to build home ownership opportunities, whether it's condos, as I just mentioned, townhomes, or anything else. I'd be really interested in seeing where we go from here. Thank you.
Councilman Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor. Similar alongside Councilmember Wood, the anti-displacement strategies, I'm a little bit more interested in that, to see that play out in this district. Are we certain that this is the best place that is achievable in a 20-year plan? I guess, and that's a question for staff too.
It's a great question. I totally had forgotten this, but and maybe Steve, you might remember when we displaced everyone out of this region the first time. That was costly to do that, to build that plan and then implement it as we tried to relocate folks. Like the library, for example, was one that I recall, and some of the other businesses. How would we do something like that with this plan if we had to do it again?
Well, I'm not sure we would dust off the old plan because it's a different era, but at the time we did have a relocation plan that included the underlying businesses that were tenants in those buildings that were ultimately taken down. I think we wrote something like 34 relocation agreements for those tenants, and that was it was done very amicably. There was no litigation involved. It was done cooperatively with those tenants. We didn't have a whole lot to go on because there were certain rules to be applied, under state rules and so forth. But we really had to come up with something that fit this particular district. So yes, we did learn a few things off of that, and we were involved with the involved in the land assembly business because the decision was made to assemble 17 acres of land and to start to implement the vision that the community came together on in 2002. If that was to happen in any form in the future, certainly we have a model that was developed, and I'm going to put a year on it. It was 2003, so 23 years ago. That's when we did the bulk of the land purchases as well as the tenant relocation agreements for those businesses. And many of them, several of them stayed within University Place, relocated to other locations in UP.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Figueroa.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind us that, as they said at the beginning, this is the framework, the 13,000-foot level. It's not the implementation and action plan. That's going to come later. So I don't want to be trapped into trying to fill those boxes now, because I think that we will never finish the plan. But later on, we have some heavy work on filling those boxes and figuring out how we implement it, which will answer some of those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate that feedback. I think, though, for a study session, and if people have got questions, this is the place to ask those. And but keep in mind, it's multi-step progression towards a completed plan, and this is round 2, as I recall, that we're looking at this. So, thank you for all those comments. Councilman Boykin, did you have a question?
I did not, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to slide 13.
Yeah, so we're moving here into transportation and connectivity actions. And this one we heard, through engagement and through talking to some of the high school students too, about the need for safe multimodal transportation where people feel like they can walk through the district. And also, we've heard about parking and making sure that there's a good balance of those two things in the district. So the first one that we have here, that we have an image on the right side of the slide, is about advancing this concept for developing a pedestrian loop that can be both an attraction to bring people into the town center. It can also, highlight some of these landmarks that are on the map there, and also be an incentive to make some of those connections across Bridgeport in this central part of the town center. We also have an action for exploring the feasibility of a regional shared use trail along Bridgeport Way. We don't have our illustrations here tonight, but you'll find in the plan in these pages 44 to 46, there is a visualization of what that could look like, and also graphics about where it could connect to. That is, again, at this concept level, not at the level of specifically planning what that trail would look like, but just thinking about how it could happen in the town center. And then again, considering new pedestrian crossings, the loop is maybe a good way to start that, but also something that could happen along Bridgeport to make those east-west connections where people express it feels hard as a pedestrian. And then adopting mode split goals for the town center, and aiming to achieve a majority of non-single occupancy vehicle trips by 2045. So again, increasing walking and biking and active transportation modes happening in the town center. We can keep going through these transportation goals, and then we can pause and see if folks have comments or questions too. Like I mentioned before, creating a parking management strategy could help to make sure that you keep that balance in the district, that you have garage and on-street demand met, and that you're also meeting some of those goals for more active transportation and people coming to and from the town center on foot, on bikes, and on different modes. And also making sure that there's equitable access to those and that it's helping to meet your business needs too, that people can park where they're going in the district. Our next action down there is about incorporating green street design elements, again, where feasible or where improvements are happening, to just think about some of those sustainability goals and looking for opportunities to incorporate them. Freight access plan was something that stood out to us too, about being able to, think about improvements that might happen on Bridgeport Way or any of the major streets in the town center, and how businesses are getting shipments and having trucks come in that need to access the town center too, and making sure that those are part of transportation planning in the area. And finally, this action around formalizing transit investment coordination with Pierce Transit and Sound Transit. This isn't really about any particular improvement or saying that there will be a stop added at this particular corner or anything, but just making sure that those transit investments are part of a regional conversation too.
Any questions on the transportation goal? I do have one comment I'd like to make before we move on to the next one, because there's one action in here that got a lot of people excited, I think, at least in our outreach, both with the public outreach and the advisory group, was this advance the concept for developing a pedestrian loop. And it was that idea of creating this pedestrian loop that would start out here, maybe right outside of City Hall, walk down Marketplace, through Homestead Park, cross Bridgeport, incorporate Green Firs, go in front of all the businesses in Green Firs, come down 40th, and then loop back around. We could brand it. We could get the businesses involved, maybe public-private partnerships, and signage. I don't even know all the possibilities there. We've spoke with the property manager over at Green Firs, at least initially, and they were like, "Yeah, great. Anything you can drive, pedestrians in front of our business is great." So I know we have a partner there, and it'd be like, hey, let's go walk the loop and meet somebody. And it's not a long loop, but it could foster, both just pride in community and then business support as well. So I think there's a lot of possibilities there that came out of that idea, and the consultants came up with that idea. That's one of those ones. It's another one that's, we're not required to do these things just to get us thinking, and that's just one that stood out as getting a lot of kind of excitement for possibility there. Okay, we'll move on to slide 15, economic development goal.
Kevin, while you're doing that, it's okay, but you just sparked a question, and that is, as you lay out that plan, I saw a comment made about transportation with large trucks. Would that plan include routing those trucks around town center versus through it?
It could. There's probably a possibility that it could, although that might be difficult because Bridgeport is the primary, thoroughfare. Okay. But it's more of that's more probably of a long range idea of, as we grow, having to think about freight transportation that through the city that serves our businesses and come up with a plan for that. I don't know, not to throw our one of our directors sitting behind me, a question, but I don't believe we have a adopted freight plan in place.
Yeah, we're a T2 route designated, but we're not part of the regional freight transportation. We're not the highest.
Yeah, it's a low-level T2 route is what he had said there, but still, as we grow, we might need to just further think about how freight moves through the city.
Yeah.
Okay, economic development, then? Turn it back to...
Yeah, let's jump into this goal. So economic development, we have actions here that are around strengthening the town center economy, especially an emphasis on supporting the small local businesses that you have locating here, and diversifying retail and services. One thing we heard from folks was that right now it feels like the town center does have local businesses. It has opportunities to come and do stuff, but there is also space for there to be a wider range of the type of restaurants, the type of eating places, and the type of establishments that people can go to in the town center, and particularly those that can serve as third spaces and places where youth can come and have it be an all ages district for people to come enjoy. So actions around this, we have establishing a plan for a restaurant attraction strategy. So thinking about how you can get and support a wider range of different restaurants, and again, like places that people can come and actually spend time in the district. Also, potential for pop-up retail and restaurant locations in the town center. There are some great public spaces right around there. There's the plaza that's in front of the main city building. There is a park right there. There's definitely, in our illustrations that you see in this section of the plan too, potential to maybe have a street closure and be able to have pop-up festivals there. Then also considering options for commercial anti-displacement strategies. So not just thinking about current residents, but also thinking about retaining the businesses that you have today in the town center, and especially helping small businesses and preserving some of that local character as you see more development. And you might see some of those small businesses, struggle to keep up over time. Again, this is a 20-year plan, so if there's a lot of redevelopment happening in the district, just trying to proactively think about how to keep those businesses in place. And then expanding workforce development partnerships. So this is a little bit different from these other more retail and restaurant-focused strategies, but aligning some of your local education and job training opportunities with the town center and some of the things that are likely to happen in this area. I think we just have the one slide for economic development, so I can pause if anybody wanted to make questions or comments on that one. Otherwise, we can move on to placemaking.
Yeah, I don't think we have any questions.
Great. Well, then we can move on to goal 4 here. This one focuses more on the public realm and really capitalizing on how the town center can bring people together and be a stronger community gathering space, provide some of those cultural amenities, and really try to have a cohesive town center identity. Right now, people do recognize things that are in the town center, so pursuing options for things like public art and cultural programs for the town center can really help to elevate that, build on the space that you already have. Some of the ways that can happen too is through encouraging activation. So pop-up uses in either existing public plazas or potential for like a small side street closure where you can have a pop-up festival or different activities happening. People were really excited about the farmers market and where it might be able to locate in the town center in the future. Also, as people come, having a wayfinding system and looking for opportunities to build that town center identity, help people know where they are and get around in the town center. And then again, this one, it had a lot of momentum when we talked to people about exploring the feasibility and some of the more detailed direction for a multi-purpose community building. So this is different than what you already have in terms of the library and the city building, in that it would be more of a community building that could have things like classes or indoor events and offer more of a flexible space that can serve a lot of different uses or programming for the town center.
So in your bullet that talks about the identity and wayfinding system, we just implemented one. So does that check that box, or does it require us to start all over and do a different one?
I would say it doesn't require us to fully start all over a new one. It's a start. We've got wayfinding signage that we have a plan, and we have implemented and added some wayfinding to the 3 districts. Mm-hmm. This just helps solidify that overall goal and say, hey, maybe there's some other wayfinding signage within the town center that could be a little more town center specific that we can add in the future.
Okay. And by the way, the ones you've already done look great. They really do.
Well, the council did approve the design, so I'm not taking any credit for that.
You did a good job.
And I'll say that one also pairs pretty well with the loop concept, that if you have new development and new pathways that you want to highlight with your wayfinding system throughout the life of the plan, that those can be added to what you already have.
Yes. I believe we have another slide on placemaking, slide 17.
Yep. So this slide we cover a little bit more about.
Before you start, Councilman Figueroa has a question.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have specific parking for developed or properties that have been developed and will be developed. But what I'm seeing now, where we're heading to, is activities, formats, for a better word, where people can gather, not specifically designed for a retail or business or a store, but literally like a marketplace, and we do have some parking downstairs on the street and all that, but as we continue to add pathways to having people come and enjoy University Place, and it'll be more than just shoppers. And I know there's some conversation here that will be had about parking and all that, but I think that there's very little space left in key areas in town center that we own, that we can maybe put together a parking garage, just like I've seen like in Palm Springs. I mean, there's like a parking garage and it's public, and then they walk for 4 or 5 blocks in either direction to enjoy the pathways of fun. And so I'm thinking that what I didn't read in here and all that was maybe, for example, how you identify certain properties is like the one property next to the fireplace. To me, that's a very great location for a parking spot. I know we need housing space, but I'm still saying that we need some kind of parking for people to be able to park and not take up everybody else's space that retailers and businesses that get taken because people are coming here for events or they just want to just enjoy the pathways. So I think we need to probably identify specific ones that we already own. I don't think a private owner is going to give us that unless we pay dearly for it, and we already have certain ones, like, and I'm just making this up, I'm not saying that we renege on anything, but like that corner property on 35th and Bridgeport, we have other kind of very select properties left around the town center that we should consider a parking structure of some sort to accommodate this growth of visitations. So that was my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Go ahead, Kevin. Unless you want to respond to Councilmember Figueroa.
A quick comment. I do believe in the plan there is talk about trying to develop some sort of parking management strategy. That would be a larger strategy for the whole district. Right. We did hear through public outreach, there's a lot of comments on parking. I think a lot of it's related to Green Furs in particular, as everybody's been in Green Furs and in front of a couple of businesses there, parking can be problematic. But yes, there is one of the goals in here is to develop a long-term parking strategy for the district.
Yeah, please.
Mayor, thank you. But that's my point. And I understand this is the big picture, but 20 years, so it might take us 10 years to figure it out where the parking. By that time, some of these special properties may be gone, and we would be stuck. What do we do with parking? So it's something that we might think about ahead of time, or first thing we think about once this is approved, maybe we look at that as a first thing, because they can be, as we know, we have certain contracts to build out some of these places that we own. So anyway, it's just my feedback.
No, it's good feedback, and it's along the lines of what the council has done in the past when we were looking at town center, originally they built the parking structure first and then built after that for the businesses. So, there's some credibility to giving that some thought as we move into newer spaces.
Okay, I believe I flipped back and forth a couple times, but I believe this is the correct slide, 17.
Yes, I think this is where we are. So for these remaining placemaking actions that we have, the first bullet is about looking for opportunities to add family-friendly amenities. So things that you can put in parks and plazas that can get more people to come to the town center, and also think about it being an all-ages space, and being able to have, high schoolers walk over after school and have things to do, and also have families be able to come. And a lot of what we heard from the students in the high school was it feels like a lot of it feels like a place for adults right now, and trying to add just more of those amenities that can help it be more welcoming for all ages. The gateway features piece that we have here too, we added this about alongside planned improvements. So I think this is in tandem with some of the other placemaking strategies, but it can really help to show that you've arrived in the town center, and help to establish this overall goal of building the identity for this district. The last one in here, this is a little bit of a required by PSRC action about protecting wetlands and other environmentally sensitive areas. We didn't find a ton in the town center in our existing conditions section, but protecting any that are found, and some of the ones that are on the edges of the district is aligned with these goals too, to make sure that development is moving away from those areas. This is our last goal. So we condensed a few things here on public utilities, but this is about making sure that the public utilities in the district are fitting the growth that is happening, and making sure that your services for this area are still reliable, they're resilient, and again, that they can support the growth that's anticipated for the town center. Did I hear something? I'm not sure if that was a mic glitch or if there was a comment.
No, that's a cough.
Okay. I can only see Kevin right now in the camera, not on the council members. Where was I? Yeah, the actions in this one are a lot about coordination. So making sure with the school district that any capacity planning or capital investments are matching up. If you're seeing more people moving into this area, more residential growth in the town center, that's in step with the school district planning as well. Aligning utility and service planning as redevelopment occurs. We didn't see any major flags or issues in our existing conditions chapter that you'll see in the plan, but just as this is a 20-year horizon, you want to make sure that those aren't misaligned and developers aren't running into unexpected issues. And same with this last one on looking at sewer and utility infrastructure improvements to support redevelopment. There were a few parcels that we saw looking at it towards the southern end that already had some identified, but as those become more over time through parcel assembly or other opportunities, just keeping an eye on where infrastructure improvements need to be made.
So 2 key actions I see missing up there, and I'm wondering why. One is omission of our public safety, our police department, and 2 is omission of our fire department, in which both those entities play a very key role when we're talking about redevelopment and redesign that's going to increase either density or capacity for our citizens. Why are they not part of this plan?
Yeah, I could speak to that a little bit, and Kevin, feel free to jump in here too. That second bullet that we have is pretty open-ended about both utility and services. I think we could expand on that just to say that as as things occur. This is more focused on that community vision around housing and job growth, but we can definitely acknowledge that with some of these physical infrastructure pieces, there's also a service planning component to that, and making sure that all of your departments are aligned on what some of this growth might mean.
Yeah, I just remember a lesson I learned years ago, and that's when we had a very grandiose and ambitious growth for town center. And it wasn't, if it hadn't been for the fact that the fire department wasn't sitting at the table that told us we could only build so high, we would have probably gotten to a place where our fire services couldn't support us. You know, they have hook and ladders and other equipments that go to a certain height, and that was our rate limiting factor of how high we could build, along with the fact that when you go above, I think it's 8 or 9 stories, you got to switch to steel versus wood. But they were at the table and they helped guide that conversation. You know, our police department was talking about, well, if you're adding X number more citizens, then you've got to consider adding X number more patrol officers or other officers to the force. But it's all part of that planning if we're looking into the future and thinking about how does this community look, you know, if we implement this plan. I think they really need to be part of the conversation. My 10 cents.
Would you? We can easily, since it's still a draft plan, if we feel like there's support for that, that's an easy add to this goal here, to add them in either to bullet 2 or create a new one regarding fire and police.
I would say if my fellow council members didn't object, I think we should.
Yep.
Councilman Figueroa.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to be clear, because this is not so much should we or is this nice, as I think if I heard you correctly, and I'm trying to just clarify this for myself, and that is a more scientific is we don't want to plan and then all of a sudden find out that in order to support all of the buildings of the fire needs and medic needs that they provide, what would they have to do? Do they have to pass a levy? You know, what do they have to do to support this growth? That would be an interesting answer from them. We're going to grow this much according to stats. We're going to do this. Are you already there to support this, or are you going to have to pass levies and things like that? As far as the police department, I think the same thing. I think it's just a good scientific look to see if we grew in 5 years this much, 10 years and this much, because we talked about our budget and we say, you know, in 10 years we're going to be behind. We're going to be in the negative with police, just the way it is with our own growth right now. And so in 10 years we're supposed to be another 8,000 people. So that means that we need to strategically think, where are we heading with the cost of public safety, and what does that mean? Can we meet that growth public safety wise? So I think that yes, it needs to have its own item of can public safety and fire safety support the growth that we are designated to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Cunningham.
Yeah, just to clarify, I believe our fire department is already looking at that with that substation, which is why, because they anticipate about a 40% increase in just population growth for us. So they know that they can't adequately serve us with just this station behind us. That's why they've started the public hearings about that second station that would serve the bottom of 67th and beyond. But that's not police, that's just the fire perspective, because they know that we're going to have growth. Whether we do this plan or not, we know that anticipated growth is on the horizon. So I think that they're already...
And I think what they're looking at is growth throughout the city. I think what we're talking about here is growth within the town center, but also what kind of construction, how high can we go, and those type of things. And that, I don't believe that's on their radar screen. But I agree with what you're saying there, but I think we need to certainly have them at the table if we're going to be planning this thing.
Okay. We'll move to essentially the last slide here. And I will summarize up. Was there any questions, just to go back, is there any further questions on any of the 5 goals in the actions out of that? Cool.
Councilmember Wood?
Just another comment back in section 3, development. You mentioned partnering possibly with a local college like Pierce County or Pierce College or something like that. I'd just like to emphasize that, as I would find that very important for our community to look at bringing in, University Place, the place without a university. If we had some kind of higher education here, I think that would be a benefit to our community in many ways, whatever school we partner with. But I'd love to have a sub-campus, an outreach campus in this community.
Okay.
Mayor.
Oh, Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor. Back to also I think it's under goal 3, placemaking and partnerships. Bringing in markets and different things into town center. I just want to remind us too, this will be our 2nd year with a community farmers market, and we've yet to really wrap our arms around that as a city to even make it a part of us. They're at this point a completely separate entity, and we've yet to really bring them into the fold. So there are opportunities, all I'm saying is, that are happening in the city now that we can experiment with now, that are taking place, that I think that we just need to take a look at too. Their attendance, what they're marketing to, what's working well for them, how could town center or another regional growth center be a benefit to them. But we just have to look at what's already happening too, that we haven't yet even capitalized on, I think. So thank you.
I agree with that. Thank you. Councilmember Boykin.
Thank you, Mayor. I just was curious, based upon the expectation of looking specifically at our service planning with a emphasis on fire and police. I was wondering, is there an element in our previous district plans for either the Northeast Business District or the 27th Business District that speaks to that? And if not, do we need to talk about how that would be approached, given that we've identified some curiosity, if you will, about police and fire in this aspect of service planning?
Without having the plans directly in front of me, and it's been a while, I don't believe there might not be specific talk about police and fire. I do know in the other plans there was definitely talk about coordinated infrastructure improvements and looking at and ensuring, when it comes to Tacoma Public Utilities, the school district, and Pierce County Utilities for sewer. I don't recall off the top of my head if fire and police were specifically mentioned in those 2 subareas. It doesn't mean it can't be added to this, and then that just gets us thinking, yes, we also need to think about that in the other districts.
If I may say so, I think that for me, the service planning component, as it was bulleted, gives that flexibility to lean into what may be specifics regarding the police and or fire. Curiosity again that was raised tonight, but since it's being emphasized that this is something we want to make sure is part of our thinking, and also, if I can say so, in the service planning and ensuring that we would get to appropriate alignment and appropriate planning for what the service planning ought to look like, it stands for me to reason that we would bring them in, but formally asking them to be part of the process is what I think I'm hearing tonight, and that's what made me raise the issue. If it's so intentional for us as we consider this aspect of the district plan for the town center, did we might want to ensure that that is just part of our thinking as we look at our previous affirmed plans that have already been adopted. So just food for thought, and thanks for that, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Kevin, what's our next step here?
So next step would be at a follow-up council meeting. If there's no further council comments or questions, we can massage the one language there regarding the fire and police, and also we can do that by leaving service planning in there. So you got the broad and also fire and police. Bring back a future council meeting with a resolution for council consideration.
Does it sound good with everyone? Okay, let's do it.
One other follow-up on that, just for continued on that, the Economic Development Advisory Commission in their work plan this year was to look at some of the goals and recommended actions for all 3 of the districts and kind of prioritize those to be able to, give that back to council or and staff on ones that they felt should maybe rise to the top, looking at it from the EDAC, and that was on their work plan for this year. They started an initial look on last Thursday on the other 2 that have already been adopted. That'll take them a while to get through these and kind of look at them. So they looked at the broad overall plan. Now is kind of to dig into some more of the specifics and prioritize what they felt the most valuable.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that update.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Great presentation. Let's go to item number 10, our pros plan update. Mr. Eklund, and Deborah Kelly Sage is the Deputy Director of Public Works Operations.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I'm Jack Eklund, Director of Public Works, and as you said, with me is Deborah Kelly Sage, our Deputy Director of Public Works Operations. Just to start things off, I do want to apologize ahead of time. I just recently broke my glasses, so if I make a funny expression, I assure you I'm not scowling at you or angry. I am just squinting to be able to see. Anyway, so tonight we're bringing
Can you see us, Jack?
What's that?
Can you see us?
There's a vague shape. No, I can
okay, so we can make funny faces at you and you won't know. Okay.
So tonight we're bringing to you for study the update to the city's Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Plan, more typically referred to as the PROS Plan. In your council packet, you will find a memo that summarizes the primary changes to the plan. Let's see, the last major update of the PROS Plan was conducted in 2020. Now, we are, in order to maintain eligibility for grants as well as to provide an indication of our parks needs, we're required to update or adopt a new plan every 6 years. Now, the city contracted with SCJ Alliance to conduct the update as well as to perform the public outreach. This public outreach they conducted during 5 city events. They did two online surveys. We've also utilized our social media as well as they were integral in our Parks Advisory Commission meetings as well. Now, in addition, we also had specific public outreach associated with the Creekside Master Plan update or effort that was previously studied at Council a few meetings ago. And then, as you probably recall, we also in 2024 had a significant effort that was conducted by ARC Architects for the feasibility study and plan update of Cirque Park, which also included a significant public outreach effort. Now, as part of tonight's presentation, I want to highlight the work accomplished at each of our parks over the past 6 years. As you'll soon see, this is an impressive list of accomplishments, which I'm happy to report. And this is not only illustrates the power and significance of a PROS plan, but it's also a testament to the commitment and passion of the City Council for our parks, the hard work of our parks and public works staff, the support we receive from our federal, state, and county officials, and then the tremendous efforts of community groups such as University Place Park and Recreation Foundation, the University Place Veterans Group, the Rotary Club, CORE, the UP Historical Society, as well as many others. If we go to the first or the next slide would be good. Oh, does it actually work? Hey, oh,
Spoke too soon.
Okay. Almost worked. All right, so we're going to start with our biggest and most popular park. Cirque Park, and I do want to note that I've also incorporated, just for this discussion meeting, I also have incorporated Reconnaisuto in there as well, since the public parks are linked and the public kind of views those as the same. So At Cirque Park, you know, we had a lot of accomplishments over the last 6 years. First and foremost, our wonderful inclusive playground that is packed almost every day, especially this nice weather. The recently opened ADA family restroom, the concrete skate park ramps, the paved perimeter trail with the exercise stations. We have the additional paved parking. We did the new trail connections between Cirque, Conasudo, and the neighborhoods. The new service access, which kind of gets lost in the more visible things, but we have now better access for service and maintenance, primarily on the backside of the park through Reconasudo. We've done the new gateway and entrance signs, and I don't want to forget the wonderful Veterans Plaza we have, and then also the completion of the feasibility and master plan. And then here's just a reminder of what that master plan, the results of the master planning effort. Just on these slides, if it's in white, that generally is an element that was also carried over from the last PROS plan. If it's in yellow, it's specifically new, although some of the areas I've left in white may have just been slight tweaks. Like, for example, the multi-use sport courts, which is the first on the list. Through that plan we did, it did expand those a bit. We now have a little bit more robust presence of sport courts through that plan, and they are the multi-use as compared to distinct. So, but anyway, so we have the multi-use sport courts are in the plan. There is the plan for the new would be to eventually put a roof on those courts. There's a splash pad which had been in the plan, although with the update with the master plan, it's now relocated from the previous PROS plan had it in the vicinity of the playground, which is now all playground. We don't have room for splash pads, so now that's now going to be by the sport courts, and also the added of the water feature. Entry plaza, additional seating, wetland habitat improvements with signage, nature trails, the events lawn, additional restroom, parking, as well as synthetic turf for the sports fields. At Current Orchard, now the accomplishments there, we have secured the RCO grant, which we should be starting work on later this year at the park, which is very exciting. And that grant is really checking off a lot of the elements from the previous PROS plan, including a new playground with the nature theme, a permanent restroom, gateway and entrance improvements, new signage, better parking, and some habitat improvement. And then we've also, through the help of the Historic Society, we've had the additional parking that was added up by Curran Lane and Rock Road. Our staff has done the approved irrigation system. We've improved the fencing on site, and also through the storm drainage project at Brookside, we've created some additional parking and access to the Brookside property. This kind of shows a reminder of what's that upcoming project at the Orchard with some of those new elements with the accessible walkways and the playground and so forth. And I am going a little quickly, so if you have to have a question or something, please feel free to interrupt. There's no problem on my part. Now on this plan, I'm noting here that I'm not including any of the stuff that's in a current adopted project. So all the elements of that, the plan we just saw with the grant, is not going to be listed in the PROS plan because we're effectively saying it's already adopted and budgeted and so forth. But in addition to that, there is still request for additional seating. And then most of the other things on this, there is a event storage structure which is still in the plan, but most of the other elements really have to do with Brookside Park because really that RCO grant checks so many of the boxes. But Brookside, we have very little development on that, so there is the plan for additional trails, some play elements, as well as some interpretive signage at Brookside. Now, shifting over to Homestead, we have that updated plan. We received a grant to help us implement the plan. We have constructed the new access road and parking improvements along the 37th Street Court, and we have added some additional signage at the park. Now, this is a reminder of the plan that we have there for Homestead Park, and I'm happy to report. I know it's been a long time coming, and I know that it's when are these improvements happening? We don't quite have the final environmental approval, but we have received a major milestone. We just completed the public comment period for the finding of no significant impacts of the project, or FONSI, which probably dates me by saying, when I hear the FONSI, I just want to give the thumbs up and say, hey. But anyway, that one, hopefully that's going to be moving, that means we're going to be moving forward quickly. I hope to have something breaking ground on that this year. So that being said, once again, so for Homestead, we also don't include these improvements on the plan, which really then we've checked all the boxes on Homestead for what the community is saying, with the exception of the part of Homestead that we call Wildside, which is more of the nature area on the other side of Drexler. And so for that, the two elements that are still remain are adding some improving habitat, and also adding some wetland some interpretive signage and some different things. The other thing we do need to add, when I'm thinking of it, is the historic signage to Homestead. That was something I will make a note of that. Okay. So, moving on to...
There's a question, Councilmember Wood.
I'd just written down about 2 minutes before you mentioned it, historical signage at Homestead, but I'd actually be very interested in, we talked about doing historical signage at all of our parks,
yes,
at least where appropriate, and I'd love to see that be part of this plan as well.
Yep, I definitely, and it's something we've already contacted the Historic Society to help us with, but yes, we'll definitely make sure we note that in each of the parks.
Great comment, thank you.
All right, so now heading toward Paradise Pond. So the accomplishments there, we have improved, although it's still a little modest, but we have improved the entryway, so it does have, you have a place to enter and can park in the gravel area there at Paradise Pond. We have improved the trails quite a bit. We have some seating and viewing areas that have been added along the wetland areas. We have some interpretive sign and some gateway signage. We do want more of that. So we have a plan already of completed that we're working with the Park Commission with on doing additional parking improvements and paving the parking at the entryway. Also providing some additional seating and amenities at the park entrance and throughout the park. Also carried over from the previous plan, there was a desire for a picnic shelter, a permanent restroom, and then the trail boardwalk connection to Adriana Hess. Now that brings us to Adriana Hess. So the main, major accomplishment of that is that acquisition of that neighboring property, the former Mario's Landscaping, which does really lend itself to a lot of possibilities for us. We have done, over the past 6 years, we've improved the trails around the area, and then I'm adding here, it hasn't quite been dedicated to us, but it's about 90% complete, is the adjacent development is in the process of dedicating a major section of the northern end of the wetland to us and constructing a large segment of the trail, which will become public. So that's a major accomplishment that will be done before the end of the year here. So now, on the plan, now some of these things probably look familiar since it's the other side of Paradise Pond, but that also we want the trail boardwalk connection to Paradise Pond. We wanted carryover from the last plan was also just keep expanding additional education, interpretation, signing, more wildlife viewing and seating, any opportunities for interpretive play, and then with the Mario's property specifically, we do have the ability to add additional maintenance facility and a location to help us, kind of almost like a satellite to help us maintain that section of town parks, and then also the trail connection from, through that north side of the wetland. Heading to Kobayashi, we had a pretty long list there as well. So we've completely repaved the entrance, the driveway, about half of the parking lot. We did restripe and maximize the parking on the site. We have improved parking, security, and habitat signage has been placed on the park. We have a new pedestrian footbridge, which you see in the picture, that helps improve our trails, and then obviously has the big connection to the Canyon Trail with the bridge 1 that goes across to Lakewood, and then the 2-mile segment that was just completed last year, and with future connections later. We have, although it's not on the park itself, this was on the plan, and we've checked it off. It's that additional trailhead parking along Chambers Creek Road, and then also a big opportunity for us was the Frederick property. So, on the plan, so we still have a plan for additional security lighting, additional parking at the top of the road, so or the top of the driveway, so to widen the shoulder up right by the entrance. There's in the plan is stream edge restoration and a wash station. And then the new items really have to do mostly with the Frederick property, is to improve and enhance the parking there, create more opportunities for viewing and seating to enjoy that property, and also to provide the trail connections from the new section of the property to Kobayashi proper. Going on to Creekside.
Councilmember Grassi.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry. Now that you brought it up at Kobayashi, I didn't know if, and just so correct me if I'm wrong, if it's assumed in the other spaces at CERC. I didn't see anything about increased lighting. Okay. And I know that was part of our plan. I think in every area, I don't know if it's just assumed in our public safety initiative, but I thought that we talked about increased lighting at CERC, increased lighting at Homestead, to be a part of that.
Homestead
overall.
is in the, that's one of the, so that's part of the current project. So
okay, so it's just assumed in there. I didn't see it as an item like the security lighting at Kobayashi.
Yeah, so we haven't identified that, and we certainly could add it at, say, Paradise or Hess. A lot of that, they kind of want that a little bit more lower light for habitat, but also, you know, obviously with the new area, I think it wouldn't hurt to add, especially both of them, both for the parking entrance area at Paradise as well as at Adriana Hess. And then at CERC Park, I'll go ahead, I'll make sure we make a note of that as well.
And we talked about it at Creekside, I believe, too, didn't we?
Creekside has some, and I'll make sure we add, that one is in there because it's part of the master plan, but yes, okay. I should have added that to the list.
Okay. Great.
But definitely, we'll make sure we add those too.
And then again, forgive me if my ignorance, but if it's just assumed garbage receptacles added in as we expand and increase capacity, the average person carries a piece of litter 25 to 40 feet before they drop it. So I'm 20 feet?
According to Disney.
Okay, well,
Disney's not wrong.
Disney, maybe people are getting better because right now ChatGPT says 25 to 40. Anywho, all I'm saying is with increased, access, I do think that we need to make plans for appropriate and easy accessible receptacles that are also pleasing to the eye and easily access. And then has been any questions at all about AEDs?
I'm sorry?
AEDs accessible for for emergencies.
Yeah.
I don't see them at CERC being added or anywhere, Has that been a conversation?
We have. The challenge with the AEDs are how do you secure them? And because you have to make them accessible if someone needs them, but then how do you keep it from being stolen? Which unfortunately is a major problem with it. So right now we haven't come up with a solution for that.
Okay. But it has been a conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to keep replacing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is expensive.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. So now Creekside. So accomplishments at Creekside. We have added the gateway signage. We have done a lion's share of the sewer construction that will accommodate the park. We've have extended the road. We still have to cross the small section of wetland to get it all the way to Cirque, but we've done a lot of that. We have the master plan effort that I've mentioned, and then we also, at the Leech Creek on the other side of Cirque, we've cleared the area, made it more accessible and usable, and that nice kind of lawn area you see there. This is a reminder of the master plan that was presented previously and is scheduled at our next council meeting to come back. And then, update itself. So a lot of the things you'll see are part of the master plan as well that were previously carried over, but access to Cirque, additional service access, parking, new restroom, discovery trails, new signage and planting, the picnic shelter, one of the things that I know Mayor Fleming talked about at our study session is having that improved crossings between Leech Creek, in particular on the Alameda side, but also at Cirque if we can do it safely, and then also for the new with the master plan is the playground with the nature play, incorporation of public art into the park, the entry plaza, as well as a play field.
Mayor.
I do want to note that previously...
Councilmember Wood has a question,
Oh, yeah.
Jack.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, you mentioned public art here, and this was actually going to be an overall comment I made, but since you're bringing it up here, I think public art should be on every single plan in one form or another. Now we got a brand spanking new arts commission, so maybe we're getting a little ahead of the process here. Just a quick question. You said this plan was last done in 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Is that the required cycle, is every 6 years?
It is, yeah.
Is there anything stopping us from amending that plan a year or two from now if we wanted to?
Nope, not at all. Yeah, we can certainly, in fact, we did it last year when we if we have to pivot and take advantage of the opportunity, we have the ability to do that, and we did that for acquiring to be able to acquire those two parcels, the Mario's and the Frederick one. So.
Okay, because I would suggest either we add public art generically now to all of the plans, or plan to modify them in a year or two after the Arts Commission gets a chance to do its work and develop objectives and see what they want to do.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
And then I was making a note on it notes play field. This is a change from what previously. The previous pros plan had more specific sport fields and larger size, like more competitive play areas, and through the public outreach and general site layout, it was found that when the public didn't have a strong interest in that large of a footprint for sport fields at Creekside, and also we just don't have enough space based on topography, but we are trying to incorporate at least a field that could accommodate like a U8 kind of soccer, so it'll still be a decent size play area that you can throw a frisbee and so forth, but we wouldn't be able to do like sporting tournaments or some sort of events there.
Gotcha. Jack, Councilmember Figueroa has a question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. On the parking, we had, it was me that mentioned about the ability to park a bike, bikes. So that when you say parking, it's just not car parking, but bike parking, right?
It is specifically noted in a couple of them, but I'll make sure that we have that incorporated in each. I think that's an excellent comment.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, moving on to Sunset Terrace. So the main things we've done at Sunset Terrace in the time period, we've done that new paved parking out front, which has helped maximize our parking. We also were able to then provide accessible access into the park, which both are two big check marks for that park. In the plan, these are all carryovers from last time. It's replacing the backstop that's a little bit old and beat up, improved seating around the throughout the park. There was a desire in the long term for synthetic turf for the sports field, and then additional lighting for the park.
Mayor.
Councilman McGrathie.
Thank you, Mayor. This is one question. Has an additional fence been considered for around the play area? There's the new parking and then the ADA, and then next to the restrooms. Has there ever been any discussion about an additional fence there for just security of kids? As a mom, my kids jet right there, and it's an enclave of traffic from 19th people pulling in, parking, also coming down that street. And it just seems like that's our one park that's so close to play structure, to the street, where there isn't a barrier. And I'm just wondering if that's ever been looked at as something that could be improved upon. Because I watch parents carefully walk out, tell their kids to carefully, you know what I'm talking about? Right there, it's just pretty wide open to really fast traffic, and then people make that turn really quick. So I don't know if there's something that we could do to make it a little safer, especially as parents are navigating strollers and different things. So
No, that's a great idea. It hasn't come up before, but that's certainly, we definitely can add that in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to Colgate. Now this is, these two areas share the same name, but they're really two different parks. So, but they are on the same in the same area. So Colgate Park and the playground. The accomplishments. So it's hard to believe, but 6 years ago, Colgate Park was mostly just volunteer trails and not really developed at all. Since then, we have now formalized the trails. We've created new entry areas. We've just had our Park Appreciation Day this last year that really brought a lot of more attention to the park, and it's really I don't know how many people came there that I heard say they just didn't even know this was here, and they're gonna come there now all the time to walk, because it's really a tremendous place to be. We've added the signage, and then shifting over to Colgate Playground, we did upgrade all the play equipment. We have upgraded the play surface. We've added seating. And so quite a bit of work out there. In the plan, we still have a desire for additional seating, lighting improvements, as noted here. And there's a slight change. We're calling it a picnic area. There had been a desire at one point for more of a picnic shelter at Colgate, although just operationally, we don't see a really great opportunity at Colgate proper for a large picnic shelter. There is that one kind of grassy knoll in the middle, but it's so far isolated from entryways, we don't really think it's practical. So I think we do still want to see some opportunities for some picnic tables and so forth, and that would be an excellent place for it, but maybe not a formal picnic shelter there. And then just improve parking primarily on the, what is that access street on the? Cascade? On Cascade area, yeah. And so now moving on to Woodside Pond, which not many people know about.
Before you do that, Jack, Councilman Boykin has a question.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just curious about, as I look at additional seating, and I've seen it more than once, I was wondering, when we talk about additional seating in these various parks, is there a max seating ideal that we're trying to get to, or is this just one-offs as we consider what the space may or may not offer based upon the feedback you got from community?
It's mostly based on the feedback from just people like to see a little bit more. We haven't done any like seating analysis, but it's more of kind of just a feel for where, if we can supplement and add a little bit more, is kind of what our thoughts are.
Okay, and the follow-up question is there an ideal that we're looking for when we talk about parks in terms of accommodation generally, whether it's seating or not? Are we looking for a number, if you will, that suggests a critical mass for each of the spaces that we have available to the City of University Place residents?
Yeah, and I know there are metrics for that. We haven't looked, because a lot of it depends so much on the nature of the park and what are the facilities, and then also where are your opportunities for seating. Cause if you're too much in some of the trails, you kind of space it a little further than if it's in a nice sunny open space where somebody wants to sit. So at this point, we haven't done the formal studies, but we certainly can look at that. But right now it is a bit more of an art than a science on where
I'm sure you're right. I think the food for thought for me is, I'm sure we consider when we talk about safety and challenges to ensure that we keep our residents safe, that there is an analysis and metrics for that. But that's probably the only way I think that we're interpreting it. I was just seeing if we're missing opportunity based upon what we have in front of us and how it could be, again, enhancing quality of life for the residents and citizens of the City of University Place. So just food for thought.
Yeah, thank you.
You bet.
Yep. All right, so Going to Woodside Pond, so this is it's a pretty large nature area. The access point is off the Tricolin neighborhood. Now, one of the challenges of Woodside Pond is we have there is a beaver dam that has significantly expanded the wetland in that area, which is, from a habitat standpoint, is great. From a park and accessibility standpoint, less so, but ultimately not a lot we can do. But it does impact what we can do at the park. Primarily is we do want to add some seating instead of a viewing area at the entrance. We want to try to still provide connections to the Leech Creek and Creekside. One thing to note here, previously that was noted as a paved access. Environmental regulations now and just the conditions of where the wetland is would make a paved access not practical or feasible. And then add some interpretive signage. And then this one, we need to make a name change for this, first of all, because University Place Primary Playground is one, not the most exciting park name in the world, and probably not reflective of what we're going to be doing out there. We still have noted in the thing play elements, but originally it was identified as like a playground. The Park Commission and also the comments we received, really, there's not a need for a playground here since you have the school playground just in that same property. So the Park Commission is looking at it. I do envision that when the Park Commission finishes their study, this was probably the first element that we will revisit, and if we do an amendment to the pros plan, we'll refine what's here. But now this one does have, there's still an idea for seating and picnic area, additional landscaping, signage, interpretive educational signage too, historic signage, as well as public art was noted in this one.
Councilman McGrassi.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to clarify, we're talking about this little peanut-shaped area. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure we were on the same.
Yeah.
And how large in, like, relatively to something else do we, the footprint of it? It's not, I mean, when you say seating and picnic area and play elements, I mean, it doesn't feel that large to me, does it? It's not, okay.
It's not very big. It's a little bigger than the little playground at Colgate
okay.
one, a little bit bigger.
But about that.
Yeah, comparable. So there's not a huge, we're not going to be building, water park or something, something spectacular. It's going to be a nice little neighborhood pocket park is kind of the or a respite area almost is kind of the scale of what we can do there.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Cunningham.
So, and then also to remember, like, we flash voted that space. So we're going to revisit what those were when we're conceptualizing what we think it should be, though, because then we opened it up for public comment, right? And we had a variety of ideas of what to do with that place. Okay, just wanted to make sure we...
Yep, thanks. All right, so now the last one I have on the slide is also probably need to have a better name or maybe just incorporate in the county's stuff, but the Chambers Creek Wildlife Habitat. So that's basically, think of it as there's the county canyon property. The Chambers Creek Wildlife Habitat are the little pockets of city-owned property that connect to that. So what we've done in the past year, past 6 years, we did secure some additional easements that could lead into neighborhoods. The plan, the connections still have to do trail connections from Canyon Trail. In fact, the next phase of the Canyon Trail will basically lead right up to our properties. There was some opportunities for seating and interpretive signage. And then this is one that is new, and this is based on the public feedback we had in those areas where we have the easements, as the neighborhoods want to make sure that any kind of trailhead signage also is pretty clear. This is a neighborhood access. It's not a there's no parking, nothing like that. It's going to be more mirroring what you see on the other side of the creek in some of those Lakewood neighborhoods. But we're specifically calling that out based on the comments we received from the neighbors. And with that, it essentially concludes our report, and I'll be happy to answer any more questions you may have.
That was a great presentation, Jack. Thank you very much for that. Very informative, too. Are there any final questions?
I have one.
Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Jack, Mayor and Jack. So first, I agree, great plan, and this is actually kind of stepping a little bit away from the pros plan, but I wanted to bring up the concern from the public comment earlier today about public beach access. And I would just love to know, not part of this plan, but is there publicly owned beach in our city? You know, maybe do a study session on this sometime in the future if the rest of the council thinks it's a good idea, to just look at what he's talking about and if there's those opportunities for more public beach access. I'd like to see some on that someday.
Yeah, and with that, just real quick, we do have some segments of direct access to beaches. They are all in right-of-way, and so would not be part of the pros plan, but certainly would be appropriate for a future study session.
I know that as far as public beach access goes, we have that one. The major one is down at Chambers Bay, and then we've got 2 accesses on Day Island that's the city owns.
I think there's actually like 6 on Day Island. It's not all of them are accessible, but there are technically there.
I know of 2.
And then one on Sunset Beach, which also may or may not be an advisable access point because of railroad and other restrictions. But there are, at least the way that for the right-of-ways and the different things, there are on the books some.
But to Councilmember Wood's point, it probably would behoove us at some point to just get a quick update as to what those are, where they are, and what interest the city has in either maintaining them or signing them so people know where they are.
Yep.
I know the locals in that area may not appreciate it, but at least the council should know where those are.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, Councilmember Grassi.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're going to get the final word here.
Wow.
I guess Councilmember Boykin might be.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. It's more of a comment, and it kind of aligns with Councilmember Wood, and I think I brought it up at our retreat possibly, but when we were first elected, staff did a great job at touring Councilmember Boykin and I around all of these properties and projects. To the question about access, I do think it would be, I submit to our agenda setting that possibly another opportunity like that for the council as a whole to be able to tour is just, a refresher of these projects, our properties, what's happening, the access points, those things might be helpful if there comes a time where we could schedule a couple groups of us to do that. So it's not just a one and done. I found that very helpful to be on site and boots on the ground, and it brings all of this together. Might be a good time. So.
We've done that in the past. It wouldn't hurt to do it again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right. Seeing that, and before you run away, next steps. I take it you got to bring it back to council for approval?
Yep. So right now we're scheduled for the next council meeting for approval. We are hoping to adopt it by the end of June to meet our deadlines with RCO to keep us eligible for the current grant cycle.
I think we can do that. Okay, Councilmember Figueroa, you will have the last word, and then we are going to.
May we consider putting in the consent agenda?
Oh, great idea. As I think you guys did such a great job, I think we're all on board with that one.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, with that said, I see no further business before council tonight. Council stands adjourned.